All right, hello, everybody. We're ready to continue with Coach Smart. Let's get just a couple of opening comments, his thoughts on the G-Day game, and then we'll go to your questions. Coach Smart?
Yeah, I opened with I was very pleased and happy to have number one great weather, but our great fan support, and I thought our students really turned out well down there in the West End Zone. It was good to see that atmosphere back over in the what I call the old student section. It was great to have everybody there and supporting the players. So the atmosphere was good. No major injuries, which is great. I was able to get out there, scrimmage, do some things, and really proud of our guys for the kind of spring we've had. We've had a tough physical spring and 15 practices complete. Got a long way to go to get where we need to go, and got to find some depth in some positions and got to get better at some other positions. But I thought our guys really competed hard today. Was really just enjoyed watching it and seeing the kind of operation of the quarterbacks from the back end, where I could get to sit and hear them call the huddle and call the plays. So that I'll open it up.
Okay, let's go to Chip Towers and then Charles Odom.
Yeah, Kirby, it was interesting early on. Obviously, it's a chance to see the ones versus ones per se. And, it's have fun hearing you say things like vertical passing game. We want to be vertical. It was hard to do that early on, but can you just talk about that matchup and kind of what you saw from your defense as well?
Well, I didn't see it that way. I saw it where I thought our guys came out a little bit slow, but vertical passing games a lot of time based on your ability to run the ball, and that wasn't our goal this game, to come out and establish the run and really run the ball hard. G-days are built around a lot of 2-minute drives. You want to go hurry up. We want to throw and catch the ball. That reduces the risk of injury. So when you're doing that, there's a lot of intermediate passing game, kind of like we did in 7-on-7 before it. Defense was also playing some quarter halves, which, doesn't allow you to take the top off a lot of times. But I did think that we threw and caught the ball well. And, we didn't have all our arsenal out there in terms of wideouts. But the ones that were out there, I thought they competed really well. And, some of the DBs got to make plays, and then some of them we didn't make plays. But that's always going to be the case in a spring game. I was pleased with the effort and attitude of the guys with it, though.
How important was this spring for your offense to have JT for the full go? And what have you seen in terms of his progress as your leader?
He's got command of the offense. He's got to be able to utilize the pocket, and we work on that each and every day. I know Coach Monken is always driving that home with him, his ability to move in the pocket, step up. The offensive line's got to protect him and give him an opportunity. There were some times today that there were 4-man rushes, and we got some pressure, and guys got pushed back into him. And I think that's important, to allow him to step up in the pocket and move around and make plays down the field. But he has command of it. He understands it. The key is his decision-making process. We know the quarterback position, there's probably a decision has to be made every single play, and he manages that really well for us.
Okay, let's go to Mike Griffith and Anthony Dasher.
Yeah, Kirby, I know you haven't watched the film, but were there any plays or players, I guess, that jumped out at you? I guess watching TV, Darnell Washington certainly is imposing. Were there any guys that really impressed you or made some plays that you can recall?
Yeah, I thought Adonai all spring, Adonai competed really well. He's a competitor. He makes plays down the field. For a guy that just enrolled and just got here, I thought he did a good job. I thought both James and Zamir made some plays in the passing game, able to get some catches and check downs, make some people miss. Kendall as well had some good strong runs, which he's done this spring. So a lot of those guys pop out. Defensively, it's hard to say without watching it. I did think Jalen Carter and Devontae White were disruptive inside with some inside stunts that helped us and got quick pressure a couple times. But for every positive, there's the flip side of that. We got to protect them better, or we got to tackle better.
Hey, Coach, another Darnell Washington question. Kind of where is he right now as far as his knowledge of the offense? Is like he might be kind of starting to get maybe a little bit more?
Well, it's interesting. He wasn't able to practice all spring, so he missed some time, and just getting him back gave us another weapon, at least for this game. But he missed some time there, and I know his conditioning level is going to be important to him to make sure he's really in shape. He's a great target. He's a big target. He's an athletic guy, and he's a weapon. We got to find ways to be able to utilize him both in the passing game and in the run game, because he's a weapon in both.
Let's go to Seth Emerson and Mark Weiser.
Kirby, you touched on this a little bit, but obviously wide receivers and DBs have been two of the most discussed topics. Where do you think that they are each? It seemed like the wide receivers had a good day. Did that say more about the wide receivers being encouraging or the cornerbacks at this point?
Well, I would probably argue every G-Day we've come out of, you feel good about the wideouts because you throw the ball so much in the G-Day game. So it's not like a G-Day I can ever remember coming out of saying, oh man, we don't have any wideouts. And I've never felt any kind of negative way towards the defensive backs coming out of the spring game, and they've given up yards in passing because this game is built around that. It's probably a little unrealistic on some plays, whether the quarterback would have been sacked or not. And that's the hardest thing to measure in this, because sometimes he gets to step up and make a throw, maybe make a play down the field when you don't know if that actually would have happened or not. But we certainly got to improve in all those areas, and I'm looking forward to it. I know we have a lot of wideouts. It's going to be a really good competition come fall when we're at 100% health at the wide receiver position, because some of the guys that got all these opportunities this spring have really stepped up. And then a defensive back, it doesn't change. It's day to day. We've got two safeties we feel like have played pretty good and are experienced, but at corner, we've got to find guys that are comfortable, can make plays down the field and make plays with their back to the ball.
Yeah, Kirby, as you mentioned, G-Day is a big day for passing. I think there were like 80 or 90 passes combined or something. But to have these young guys at DB get a chance to do it with 20,000 in the stands, what was the value of that, you think, for them?
I'm hopeful it pays off, next year in the upcoming games, because, the opportunity to be a DB is not in the run game, that you could have 25 run plays and they may never be involved in one of them at corner. And then the more you throw the ball, the more you challenge them. You challenge them by what you call, but you also challenge them by putting air in the ball and throwing it around. So we got to challenge those guys. We'll get to do that all summer in 7-on-7. We've got to grow and get better, and we've got good players. We've got to coach them up and get those guys ready to go play at a high level, and they'll get challenged obviously in our opener and in our conference play and against teams we got to play next year. There's some teams that can sling the ball, and this game's about skill. So if you have skill level out on the perimeter, it's hard to stop people. I don't care who your corners are, how good they are. You're not shutting people down anymore.
Let's go to Jake Rowe and then Dean Legge.
Yeah, Kirby. Concerning Adonai Mitchell, AD, when did you kind of get the impression that he was going to be a guy that could kind of help you maybe a little bit right away? And when did he really start to kind of emerge this spring? Because you started hearing a little bit of buzz, and then you kind of got a chance to put it on display today.
Yeah, we thought he was a talented player. He's another one of the guys that we think we do as good a job as anybody in the country doing research on players and evaluating players. It's not about what they're ranked, what the media says about them, what the recruiting rankings say. We watch the tape. The tape speaks volumes. In the case of Jordan Davis, it spoke volumes. In the case of Adonai Mitchell, it speaks volumes. These guys that we evaluate ourselves, we thought he was a really good player, and we didn't care what everybody else thought. And he's a good football player. So we evaluated him, kept recruiting him. He came in. We didn't get to see him in the bowl practice. He actually got sick right when he got here and never got to really bowl practice with us. So it was very unfortunate that he was here like 8 days and never got to practice once. Then he had to go home. Then he came back. He worked out well. He's gotten himself in decent shape. He needs to get in better shape, but he made plays. He made plays during the spring. And when you got a guy like that steps up, it's almost a bonus. We lost George and it forced him to play more, but man, he picked it up fast. And when Jermaine went down, he had to get even more reps. So we're really excited about it and think he's a really good player. And the last probably 3 practices of spring ball were his best practices.
Kirby, all 4 of your quarterbacks that you've had really seem to flash at one point or another today. And they, from what JT says, have been preparing as the starters all along, all 4 of them. Is this the best group of quarterbacks you've had in a single room since you've been at Georgia?
I don't know, top to bottom, I certainly feel really good about all four of them. I don't know that I could ever say we've had four that you feel, confident about. These four, I feel really good about. I think they're good football players. I think they're bright, they're intelligent, they challenge themselves. I don't, it's hard to compare it to other years. We've certainly had a talented quarterback room before, but with four guys you feel good about, it's hard to have that in college football. I thought they challenge themselves. And to be honest with you, we set our practices up where they get to develop. You only got to see a piece of that today. And it's unfortunate because, today there was only one quarterback on the field at a time. And in our practices, there's a lot of times there's two out there and there's more reps available. So we're trying to get their growth to happen a little faster than it would normally without getting the reps.
Okay, let's go to Jed May, and then we'll go to Red and Black, either Drew or Catherine.
Hey, Kirby, kind of a two-part question on the offensive line. One, what have you seen from Tate Ratledge and sort of him trying to get some playing time there at right guard? And two, on the left side with Sawyer, Truss, and Justin Schaefer, sort of what's the competition looking like with those three guys, for those two spots on the left side right now?
Well, it's all up for grabs. We'll review this tape, see how they did. Jamari didn't get to practice all spring. He had a couple of practices he had to miss. So he may have been a little rusty out there today. Tate's been in the thick of it. Tate's physical presence, toughness. He's strong in the weight room. Being guard in the SEC, you got to have a firm pocket and you got to be able to move people. And you go against the best defensive lines every year in our conference, and you got to have some mass. You got to have some guys that can sustain heavy rushers, and we think Tate does a good job of that. Schaefer and Jamari have been splitting some reps, and then Jamari's been doubling up with Truss. But we're not where we need to be, in the offensive line. And if we're going to be a good team, we've got to protect the quarterback, and we got to be able to run the ball. And that's one of the areas we're going to have to take some of the largest leaps to get where we want to go next season.
Hey, Kirby, we talked to JT earlier. He mentioned a lot about the check down, and you've talked a lot about yards after catch. So how do you think the team did in that respect, both on offense and defense today?
Well, part of being a quarterback is take what the defense gives you. There was a lot of times today that's what was given. It may have been a 2-minute situation, may have been a long yardage situation. And we're trying defensively to get better at zone. We're a man match team. We don't play a lot of man to man, but we play man match. And a lot of times your back's turned to the ball, and we want to get better at zone. So I thought defensively we did a much better job of forcing a check down. Now we got to go physically make the tackle. And offensively, when we hit the check down, we got to turn a 4 or 5 yard gain into 10, 15 yard gains. And that's the only way we're going to be elite, is to do that.
All right, let's check with Jeff Schultz and then Connor Riley.
Kirby, you touched on JT's command. I'm curious, have you seen a discernible difference even from the fall to the spring, whether it's on or off the field in his play and demeanor, and if so, how?
It's hard to say discernible difference because I felt like he had a really good command last year. I never went into a game with, the Mississippi State game, probably the most unknown, but he had a command then. He has command now. I think he has better understanding of his weapons. He's got, a boatload more reps of each one of those. So I'm excited about what he can do. The decision-making is everything for that position. Get us out of a bad play, get us to the next play for the next down, use 4 downs when possible, and use a guy that can make us right. So I know he's gotten better, but a discernible difference, I think it's hard to say, because I think he had a good feel, good command for the offense, even last year.
Hey, Kirby, first chance to really get to see Carson Beck today. What did you make of him both today and in these spring practice periods?
He had some good spring scrimmages. He had some good outings out there in the spring. We thought he throws the ball really well. He had a really good practice on Thursday in terms of command of the offense, making decisions, using the players around him. Got really good pocket presence. He's natural at stepping up, moving in the pocket. He's not a burner. He's not going to go out there and outrun you, but they still have to tackle him, and he's a big man when it comes to live play. But I'm pleased with his progress. I think he got better. Carson didn't always have the focus he needed last year as a freshman in terms of preparation, academics, on the field, off the field, in the meeting room. And now, since we started this spring, he's taking notes. He's got command of it better. He's doing better academically in the classroom. So he's trying to take a step forward and do some good things.
Hey, we got time for two more questions. We're going to go to David Pascal, and then we'll go to Lance McCurley.
Kirby, how would you assess where Ladd McConkey is right now? And is he one of the younger guys that was able to capitalize with more opportunities this spring?
Yeah, he gets a ton of reps. First of all, he's got great toughness. He's got great savvy. He has no fear. He's taking some shots this spring and gets back up, keeps going. He's in a competition for return game reps. And my expectation is he competes. You know, he's going to go out and compete for special teams jobs all over the place and compete at wide receiver to learn the offense, get a little bigger and stronger. He's got really good quickness. But I'm excited about Ladd. He's a guy that's going to be a good football player for us.
Hey, Coach, in the kicking game today, we saw, Camarda go 3 field goals. And is there a drop off behind Pod? And what's the deal with Jared Zirkle? How's his progression over the past 2 seasons?
Zerk's been injured, so we went with Camarda today to give him an opportunity. And we don't get to travel a lot of times 3 kickers, so you always want to have a backup kicker situation where you got a guy in case a guy goes down, and there's no better experience for a kicker than getting to kick field goals in a game. So we felt strongly that Camarda would get to kick today in the game. He did. He got to kick field goals today in the game and didn't hit the ones that you'd like for him to hit, but he's certainly going to get better. Camarda's got a tremendous leg. I mean, you see that in the punts. You see the strength of his leg in the punts, but he's the same way in field goals. He's just probably not as accurate as Pod is.
Thank you, Coach Smart. Thanks, everyone. And please stay on.